Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Right then, settle in, because today we have got two stories that on the surface look like quiet mid-season county cricket updates, but are actually packed with drama, human interest, and the kind of detail that remind you exactly why the domestic game is the beating heart of everything English cricket does. Story 1, Liam Livingstone. The man who has spent the last 5 years becoming one of the most destructive white ball batters on the entire planet is about to pull on his county whites, pick up the red ball and play his first county championship match since 2021. Not because he planned to, not because he was pushing for it, but because Jimmy Anderson asked him to, and apparently when Sir James Anderson calls, you do not say no. Story 2, Ali Orr, the Hampshire opener who left his boyhood club Sussex a year early chasing opportunity, scored a match-saving 50 at the Oval on Wednesday that meant everything to him personally and gave his team a platform to stop sliding towards the wrong end of Division 1. Two very different cricketers, two very different situations, connected by the thread that runs through all of county cricket at its best. People who genuinely love the game showing up and doing the work when it matters most. Today on Boundary Line UK, we are giving both stories the space they deserve. Let's start with Livingstone, because this one has everything. It has nostalgia, it has loyalty, it has a slightly ridiculous and thoroughly entertaining premise, and it has the kind of backdrop that county cricket fans absolutely adore. Blackpool, Stanley Park, a 4-day red ball match against Kent starting this Friday. Liam Livingstone, aged 32 T20 superstar, franchise cricket phenomenon, man who has batted in the IPL and the Big Bash and the 100 and basically every major white ball competition on earth, dusting off his red ball technique and walking out for Lancashire in Division 2. 5 years since he last played Championship cricket. 5 years in which he has reinvented himself so completely as a white ball specialist that the idea of him playing a 4-day game feels almost surreal. And yet here we are, Jimmy asked. That was apparently enough. The backstory to how we got here matters because it tells you something important about both Livingstone and the county he has called home for his entire career. Lancashire are in the middle of an injury crisis that has stretched their squad to breaking point. Chris Green, the Australian all-rounder, who had been contributing both with bat and ball, has been ruled out with a fractured thumb, leaving a significant hole in a team that sits fourth in Division 2 and finds itself 10 points adrift of the promotion places after 6 games. They needed options. They needed someone who could provide the kind of all-round contribution that Green had been delivering. And captain Sir James Anderson, who knows his squad better than anyone and understands exactly what Livingstone is capable of when he is motivated and switched on, made the call. He asked Livingstone personally. And Livingstone, whose connection to Lancashire runs deeper than any franchise contract or any white ball deal, said yes. What Livingstone said about it is genuinely lovely, the kind of quote that cuts through all the noise and reminds you that professional cricket is still, underneath everything, a game played by people who grew up loving it. I don't think I'd be playing if everyone was fit, he admitted, with a refreshing honesty that you do not always get from professional sports people talking about their availability. But Jimmy asked, and if I was ever going to play for anyone, Jimmy and Crofty are probably my top 2 people. Stephen Croft, Lancashire's coach, and a man whose connection to the Red Rose County is every bit as deep and long as Livingstone's own, rounds out that picture of a cricketer who is going the extra mile, not for career advancement or contract security, but because of genuine, uncomplicated loyalty to people he respects and a club that has given him everything. Think about the scale of what Lancashire have given Livingstone over the years and you begin to understand why that loyalty runs so deep. He made his first-class debut for the county a decade ago. He played 62 red ball games for the Red Rose. He scored 715 half-centuries in those matches, including a career best of 224. Which is not the score of a man who cannot play the long form of the game. It is the score of a man with serious, substantial first-class quality. The fact that his career took a different turn, that the explosion of franchise T20 cricket gave him a path to becoming one of the sport's most celebrated white ball players, does not erase that history. Lancashire made him. And when Lancashire needed him, he did not hesitate. The question everyone is asking, the one that makes this story so compelling beyond the straightforward loyalty narrative, is this: what does 5 years away from 4-day cricket do to a batter? Livingstone himself has spoken about it honestly and thoughtfully, and his comments suggest a player who is more self-aware about his own game than he sometimes gets credit for. I've complained over the last few years about not being able to get in a rhythm and not having time in the middle, having batted lower down the order, he said. So here's my chance to have some time in the middle. That is a batter who knows exactly what he needs. Time, balls faced, innings built rather than hammered. The white ball game, for all its thrills, conditions a player to think in terms of acceleration and scoring rate and maximising every ball. The red ball game demands something different. It demands patience, the willingness to occupy the crease, to play and miss and play again. To let the innings develop on its own terms rather than imposing your will on it from ball one. And Livingstone, if his current form in the T20 Blast is anything to go by, is in exactly the right headspace to translate that patience into red ball runs. He has been exceptional in the Blast this season. Scores of 85, not out, and 81. Wickets with his off spin in all 4 of his games. A consistency of performance that speaks to a player who has found something in his game that feels settled and reliable. I feel like I'm batting as well as I ever have, he said, and the numbers back that up. When a white ball specialist in that kind of touch takes on a red ball challenge with the full backing of his captain and coach and the enormous motivation of playing for a club he genuinely loves, the conditions for something special are absolutely in place. Lancashire have also bolstered their championship options by bringing in Ben McDermott, the Australian white ball batter currently featuring in the T20 Blast for the county on a contract covering the next 2 championship games. McDermott is a capable cricketer with solid first-class credentials and an understanding of English conditions from his time at Lancashire. His availability gives the team more depth and more options in a period when injuries have forced them to think creatively about their squad composition. Between McDermott's experience and Livingstone's class and motivation, Lancashire's management have done a genuinely clever job of filling a difficult gap without panic or compromise. The match itself, Lancashire versus Kent at Stanley Park in Blackpool, is one of those fixtures that county cricket fans treasure. Blackpool is not a test ground. It is not a venue you will find on the international calendar. But it has history, it has character, and it has the kind of atmosphere that bigger, more corporate grounds sometimes struggle to replicate. Real county cricket on a real county cricket ground, with a crowd that genuinely cares about the result and players who understand what the day means beyond the scorecard. If Livingstone walks out to bat there on Friday and the crowd gives him the reception he deserves, that will be a moment. And if he then proceeds to bat with the freedom and power that he has shown in the Blast this season, applied to a 4-day context, it could be a very good moment indeed. Lancashire's promotion ambitions add real stakes to all of this. Sitting 4th in Division 2 with 10 points separating them from the top 2 is not a disaster. There is cricket left to be played and ground to be made up. But they know that dropping points against the Kent side that, despite Crawley's absence, remains competitive and well organised would be damaging. Every game at this stage of the season carries weight, and the combination of Livingstone's return, McDermott's arrival, and Anderson's own presence and leadership gives them a foundation to go and get something meaningful out of the next 2 fixtures. Now let us talk about Ali Orr, because his story is the quieter of the 2 and deserves just as much attention. Orr is 25 years old. He plays for Hampshire. He scored a match-saving 53 not out from 121 balls at the Oval on Wednesday to help his team grind out a draw against Surrey in a rain-affected championship match. The result lifted Hampshire off the bottom of Division 1 and gave them something to build on ahead of a trip to Orr's former county, Sussex, the following Friday. On the surface, a 50 by a young batter in a draw might not sound like the stuff of great drama, but when you understand Orr's personal journey and what this innings meant to him, it becomes something much more significant. Orr left Sussex a year early, his boyhood club, the county he grew up dreaming of playing for. Hampshire persuaded Sussex to terminate his contract before the 2024 season. which is the kind of move that only happens when a player's management and a county's recruitment team are absolutely certain they want each other. Orr came to Hampshire with ambitions and hopes and the belief that a change of scenery would give him the platform his talent deserved. And then it did not quite happen that way. Injuries intervened. Form was inconsistent. In 11 first-class matches for Hampshire, he had passed 50 twice, including one century against Durham in 2024. But the regular run of games he needed to fully establish himself had never quite materialised. He went into 2026 hoping that the arrival of new head coach Russell Domingo would signal a fresh start, a new era in which his qualities would be properly recognised and consistently used. And yet by the time Wednesday came around, he had played just 2 matches in all formats this season. Just 2. The frustration in his voice when he talks about it is completely understandable and entirely relatable to anyone who has ever had to watch from the sidelines while wanting desperately to be involved. It's been a frustrating start to the season for me, obviously not being around it when I've wanted to be, he said. But what is striking about Orr's comments, and what speaks well of both him and the environment at Hampshire, is the absence of bitterness. He is not throwing anyone under the bus. He is not questioning the selectors or the coaching staff in a way that would embarrass his employer. Instead, he talks about clear communication from the coaching staff, about the need to be patient, about the importance of seizing the opportunity when it finally comes. That is a young professional who has had to develop a maturity well beyond his years and who has come out the other side of a frustrating period with his perspective intact and his desire undimmed. And then he played the innings. Hampshire versus Surrey at the Kia Oval, one of the great grounds in English cricket. A venue where history seeps out of the walls and the pressure of performing is real and tangible even in a county championship fixture. This was Orr's first championship appearance of the season. The match had been affected by rain. Hampshire needed someone to dig in, to hold the innings together, to show the kind of gritty, determined batting that ensures your team does not lose a game they had no business losing. Orr went to the crease and did exactly that. 53 not out from 121 balls. Not flashy, not the kind of innings that makes the highlight reels or gets clipped for social media, but absolutely crucial, absolutely valuable, and absolutely the innings that lifted Hampshire off the bottom of the table and gave them a platform of belief they had been missing. It meant a huge amount, Orr said, and you believe every word of it. When you have waited as long as he has for a consistent opportunity, when you have done the work in the shadows while others have taken the chances, a performance like that carries a weight that goes far beyond the numbers. It is proof. Proof to yourself, proof to your teammates, proof to your coaches, proof to the county that bought out your contract and believed in what you could become. You belong here. You can do this. You are not just taking up space. What Orr said about Hampshire as a club is also worth dwelling on because it captures something important about county cricket's self-image and the standards that elite counties hold themselves to, even when results are not going their way. Hampshire is a big club, a very successful club, and this is not where we belong, he said. And that kind of institutional pride is not nothing. It is the kind of statement that comes from a player who has genuinely bought into what the county represents, who understands the history and feels the weight of the expectation, and who refuses to accept that where Hampshire currently finds themselves is where Hampshire should be. It feels like the tide is changing and we are playing better cricket. We're here to fight and we're not just going to lie down and stay at the bottom. That is a player who gets it. That is exactly the kind of voice a dressing room needs when confidence is fragile and results have been hard to come by. The trip to Sussex that awaits Hampshire adds another layer of personal narrative to Orr's immediate future. He is going back to his old county, the place where he grew up as a cricketer, the ground where he learnt the game and developed the foundations that were good enough to attract Hampshire's attention in the first place. For some players, going back to a former club is an emotionally complicated experience. There is unfinished business, there are old friendships and old rivalries, there is the strange feeling of walking into a familiar environment wearing a different shirt. But for a player with Orr's evident mental resilience and clarity of purpose, it is more likely to be motivating than destabilising. He wants to go there and win. He has said as much. Hampshire travelled to Sussex with belief, with the momentum of a hard-earned draw against a good Surrey side, and with a young opener who has just shown exactly what he is capable of when he is trusted and given a chance. The connections between these two stories are worth drawing out before we wrap up because they speak to something important about county cricket's essential character. Livingstone and Orr are at very different stages of their careers and in very different situations. One is a 32-year-old white ball superstar making a brief loyalty-driven return to the red ball game after 5 years away. The other is a 25-year-old batter fighting for his place and his future in a format that will define his career. But both of them share something fundamental. They are playing because they love it, because the people around them matter to them, and because the opportunity in front of them is one they are not willing to waste. Livingstone said he feels like he is batting as well as he ever has, and he came back not for money or for profile, but because Jimmy asked and Lancashire needed him. Orr said he came to Hampshire to play and to win games and to make a difference, and he has never stopped believing that even when the opportunities have been desperately few. That is county cricket. That is what it looks like when it is working properly and honestly. Not the glamour of test matches, not the fireworks of franchise T20. Just cricketers who care about their counties and their teammates going out there and doing the hard work in front of a few hundred people at Stanley Park in Blackpool or a rain-affected Kia Oval and meaning every single minute of it. This Friday, Liam Livingstone walks out for Lancashire in a county championship match for the first time in 5 years. Somewhere at Hampshire's training ground, Ali Orr is preparing for a trip back to his roots at Hove. Two stories. Two cricketers, one beautiful, infuriating, endlessly compelling domestic game doing what it does best. If you love county cricket, if you love the stories that live inside the domestic game and never quite get the attention they deserve, then this channel is for you. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, share it with someone who needs reminding why the championship matters, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you backing Livingstone to make an impact on his red ball return? Do you think Orr is the player Hampshire need going forward? Can Lancashire close the gap at the top of Division 2? Let us have the full debate. Subscribe to Boundary Line UK if you are not already part of the family. We cover English cricket from the international headlines right down to the stories that happen on county grounds on a Friday morning in June, because every single one of them matters. Subscribe, like, comment. This is Boundary Line UK, and we will see you on the next one.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.